WHNT News 19 this morning. A live look at 72 headed over Chapman Mountain.
And you know what? It doesn't look all that hot, Ben, but it's
not.
Well, it's not, but it's the beginning of the day that will be. How about that?
It certainly will. And when we have dry air, it cools off and heats up really quickly. I mean, it's unbelievable. The Shoals went from 57 to 100 yesterday.
Ooh.
Wow.
And today I'm forecasting 102, and it'll be even hotter after that. And there's your updated heat advisory. It looks like the National Weather Service now expanded that to include everyone in the WHNT News 19 viewing audience. That means it's going to feel like 105 later on this afternoon. How about 68 degrees in Huntsville, 63 in Meridianville, 65 up in Fayetteville, 74 in Montana. There's your temperature trend. Read 'em and weep. 102 today, 104 on Friday, 104 Saturday. And I was looking at some of the latest computer model data. It wouldn't surprise me if we got as high as 106 tomorrow and on Saturday, Steve.
Wash your mouth out with ice water. All right. Time now for...
I had to put the hot symbol with the flames on there this afternoon, 99 to 103 under a sunny sky. Even hotter tomorrow at 104. Records today, tomorrow not likely, but on Saturday the record is 102, so we'll break that to start the weekend. And hopefully we'll have a chance of showers and thunderstorms by the first of next week. As for now, that chance is very, very low. Let's go ahead and check.
Their big story of the day, our extreme heat, potentially record-setting heat for the next few days.
Highs at or above the century mark for North Alabama. And that's a real danger if you are outside for any length of time. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson for an update on our predicted triple-digit high temperatures.
Well, we just got the data in from today. 105 the high in Muscle Shoals, 103 in Huntsville. We broke a record in Muscle Shoals this afternoon, and it's still sitting there in the low 100s. We have 103 at Northwest Alabama Regional Airport. It's still 100 in Meridianville, 102 in Huntsville and Decatur, 100 almost everywhere across North Alabama and southern Tennessee, if not hotter this afternoon. And tomorrow will likely be even hotter than that. The biggest issue we face here, not just heat. We have poor air quality. There's another air quality alert in effect for Madison and Morgan counties tomorrow. That means the air is unhealthy for sensitive groups. If you have breathing problems, asthma, or a heart condition, take it easy when you go outdoors. You don't have to stay inside the whole day, but just don't be doing a lot of outside intense labor or exercise. Look at all the heat advisories and heat warnings across the central and eastern part of the country, all the way from South Alabama to central Michigan and southern Wisconsin. And these are the temperatures we're expecting in northwest Alabama for the next few days. 106 tomorrow in Muscle Shoals, 107 on Saturday, and then it backs down with a few isolated storms early next week. We'll talk more about the weather around the rest of the valley coming up in just a few moments.
Well, fighting this extreme heat can be as close as your smartphone. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration has unveiled a new app to help determine if you're safe in the sun. It calculates heat index for their work site, and it displays a risk level. WHNT News 19's meteorologist Brandon Chambers shows us how it works.
Under OSHA guidelines, it's the responsibility of employers to keep their employees safe during periods of extreme heat. Now OSHA has released an app designed for Android and iPhone smartphones to help keep you safe during the heat. Here's how it works. The app has two forms in the top of the screen, one for temperature and one for humidity. You can input these values yourself, or the easy way is to hit the Get Current button, which detects your current location and inputs those values for you. Once you hit Calculate, it calculates the heat index for you and gives you a risk level. Today is moderate, or you could do the forecasted high for today by hitting Get Today Max. Once you get the calculated value, you can hit the Precautions button to determine what measures you should take based on the heat conditions for that day. Now, in addition to the heat index info, you can also click on the More Info button to get signs and symptoms for various heat-related illnesses such as heat stroke, heat exhaustion, or heat cramps. You can also find out first aid options for those illnesses, or if you have any questions for OSHA, there's a Contact OSHA button with all their contact information. Again, this is a free app for Android and iPhone mobile phones. You can find it on our website at WHNT.com.
And for
some of the hottest weather that we have seen in a long time around the Tennessee Valley is now upon us. We broke a record high in Muscle Shoals today. Did not quite get there in Huntsville, though. Here's a look at the Saturn V rocket cam at the blazing sunshine over West Huntsville from the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. We're still at 102 degrees, which is 12 above the average. That's not even the high today. Huntsville's high was 103. It's still 103 in Muscle Shoals after the high at 105. The old record there was 104. Dew point now sitting at 50, and that's good because as lower that number is, the less this continues to increase with the apparent temperature, the heat index. In fact, the heat index today has actually made it feel a degree or two cooler than the actual air temperature because the humidity's been so low. That's counterintuitive, but sometimes that's how it works when the humidity's low. But as it increases later into the weekend, you may get some heat index values that do approach 110 at some point here. 101 in Green Hill, 100 in Cortland, 100 in Hatton, still 101 at Mount Hope, Speak. It's also 98 degrees in Moulton, 96 currently in Phil Campbell. We have low 100s in Decatur, Cullman, Albertville, Fort Payne, Scottsboro, Winchester, Fayetteville still 101. It's 101 in Pulaski. And we also have to add in that potential for some unhealthy conditions, not just because of the heat, but because of poor air quality. Ground level ozone concentrations are high. So in a situation where you already have a situation like asthma or a heart condition, just take it easy outdoors tomorrow and through the weekend because high concentrations of ground level ozone can agitate health conditions that you already have. If you're perfectly healthy, the biggest problem for you is just going to be simply the high levels of heat. Temperatures tonight in the 70s. Tomorrow, midday, will already be near 100. And by the middle of the afternoon, we look for about 102 to 106, maybe 107 in a few communities across northwest Alabama. Now, there is some hope that by the time we get to the weekend, maybe Sunday and into Monday, that this ridge will start breaking down. The intense heat will back off just enough to push temperatures back down toward the upper 90s early next week. And with that happening and the ridge beginning to fade away some, there's a chance for a couple of isolated storms late Sunday through Monday and Tuesday, but don't get your hopes up too much. Low tonight at 72. Tomorrow we're at 104. There's the 7-day forecast, and that is not pleasant whatsoever. 105 on Saturday afternoon. We look for it to come back down just a bit as we head into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Rain chances about 20 to 30%. So some of us will get a shower, but there will still be a lot of the valley that is rain-free all the way through the end of next week.
Potentially record-breaking heat is in the forecast for the next several days.
One valley community reached one such milestone earlier today.
Joining us now, Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson with a day of record-breaking heat.
We didn't quite make it in Huntsville. Huntsville's record was a little out of reach at 107 today. I think it's still out of reach tomorrow. It's 108, but Muscle Shoals did break the record. The old record there was 103, and today the high was 104 degrees. So a very hot afternoon around most of Alabama, Tennessee, to the west into Arkansas, as well as parts of Missouri, all the way up to Michigan and Wisconsin. Heat advisories have been in effect. There's a look at highs today. We hit 107 in Rogersville, 104 in Florence, 103 at Ripley, 103 in Fort Payne, 102 was a pretty popular number around northeast Alabama. Current temperatures not that cool. Well, there you see some video from Huntsville Botanical Gardens a little bit earlier. Concert at the Columns, the Jason Albert Band braving the heat. It was still around 100 degrees when they began their concert, so some folks got out there and braved the heat. At least they had some water close by with them. Outdoor activities the next few days, curtail them if you have breathing problems and if you're susceptible to this kind of heat. This is dangerous stuff. We're still in the low 80s in Huntsville and hasn't really cooled that much. The dew point at 60. And the good news is that's fairly low. It's not as high as it can be this time of year. Muscle Shoals down to 79, and that's a relief after a high at 105, breaking a record this afternoon. 77 in Cortland, 80 in Decatur. We've got 75 in Scottsboro, still 86 on Sand Mountain and Albertville. And about that record in Muscle Shoals today, it looks like we could get there again tomorrow. 106 on Friday at Northwest Alabama Regional Airport. That'll be our forecast. That's where the official records are kept for the Shoals. 107 on Saturday. And then notice this, what appears to be a big tumble. We go from 104 all the way down to 97 by next Wednesday. That's not because the heat is necessarily breaking. It's because we could see a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms that may help to reduce just how hot it can get. The more moisture we get, the less we see these record high numbers. Tomorrow's record in Muscle Shoals, 106. The forecast is 106. Huntsville's record is 108. The forecast is 104, so we probably won't quite get there in Huntsville tomorrow, but it's going to feel like it with the heat index creeping up.
For the next several days at least, I mean, it's unbelievable. We haven't had high temperatures this hot in a very, very long time. And matter of fact, we're going to set records this weekend. Just how hot is it going to get in Huntsville today? 104. Now, now, the all-time record is 108 degrees. That was set on this day. And Saturday, 105. The record is 102. Sunday, 103. The record also 102 degrees. And at the Shoals, today's high at 106. You should tie the record. Tomorrow, also forecasting 106, breaking the record of 103. And Sunday, 104. The record is 102. Now, last year, we had one day with temperatures at or above 100 degrees. 2010, we had 9 days, not one single day in 2009. Look at 2007, 13 days at or above 100. Here is the heat advisory for everyone. Excessive heat warning now for the Shoals. That means the temperature is going to feel like between 105, maybe as high as 115 degrees in a couple of isolated locations later on this afternoon. 73 in Huntsville, 68 degrees Decatur, Cortland 72, 66 degrees Moulton, 69 up in Pulaski, Tennessee. A few clouds out there for this morning, but overall a mostly sunny sky with a big ridge of high pressure dominating our forecast. Until this ridge breaks down, the temperatures aren't going to cool off too much, and the coolest temperature I have in the 7-day forecast is right around 95 to 96 degrees. So for today, 104 sunny skies will be at 74 tonight and 105 for tomorrow. There's your 3-day forecast. 103, maybe just a brief shower on Sunday and a greater chance of rain by next week.
Now,
And 3 big ones at 3 o'clock today. Today's picture of the day, Mike Wilhelm was out at Joe Davis Stadium and taking in the Huntsville Stars game. And I think he used one of those apps you can get on your phone to kind of make it really cool looking, the colors. I think Instagram maybe.
And there's an app for everything.
There's a couple of apps for that in particular. We will be back, everybody, in 2 minutes. But first,
Yeah, we want to talk about.
There are things you can do to keep as cool as possible during this extreme heat. Meteorologist Brandon Chambers continues our team coverage. And Brandon, what you wear makes a big difference.
That's right. We always tell people to wear lighter shades of color during periods of extreme heat, but we're going to put that to the test. What we have are 4 WHNT polos, and we're starting them off inside with a baseline temperature of around 74 degrees on each of them. And what we're going to do here in just a second, right after we get off the air here, we're going to put these outside in direct sunlight and see how fast the black heats up versus the other shades of color, and we'll see exactly what a dramatic difference the shade of color you wear in extreme heat can make. We'll be back at 6 p.m. with the results of our little experiment.
A little fashion forecast. Thank you, Brandon.
Heat warning will continue through tonight and tomorrow because of the extreme heat that is built into the Tennessee Valley. Right now from the Saturn V rocket cam, we're looking toward downtown Huntsville through the summertime haze. It is still 104 degrees outside. Dew point at 57. The wind very light today. The dew point is a little higher, but it's still not that kind of soupy humidity that would make that 104 feel like it's 124. Fortunately, it hasn't been to that level, but with dew points rising this weekend, we expect these numbers that make it to 105, 106, 107 to actually feel closer to 110 than we have for the past couple of days. 106 currently in Muscle Shoals, broke a record high there today at 107. The wind is currently west at 8 miles per hour. It's 105 in St. Florian. It's 102 now in Rogersville, 100 in Russellville, 102 at Mount Hope, 101 in Moulton, and still 102 at Zip City after a high today in the low to mid 100s. Still 106 in Winchester, 102 in Scottsboro. Albertville 99. The high there only 100 degrees today. Coleman is still at 102 and Cortland is at 102. When you factor in the humidity, it's not that much different. We maybe see a degree or two rise across the board in Winchester. The worst looking spot at the moment. It feels like 110 there. So records tomorrow. We're forecasting 106 in Huntsville again. It wouldn't be surprising if we get 107 or 108, but we're still going to be well above the record of 102 set back in 1914. 107 is the record in Muscle Shoals, and since we got there today, I think we should easily beat that, potentially with a 108 or a 109 around Lauderdale and Colbert counties tomorrow. We also
Extreme heat, a dangerous problem that's affecting almost everyone in the Tennessee Valley. And this sign tells the story. Triple-digit temperatures. Facebook friends have been posting pictures of their in-car temperature gauges too. It's dangerous, and it's only going to get worse.
This extreme heat isn't going anywhere. As the temperatures continue to climb, it can get the better of even the healthiest among us. But our senior citizens are especially at risk in this sweltering heat.
WHNT News 19's Daniela Paralon joins us now with how we can keep our seniors safe. Daniela.
Elise, as we're told to recognize the signs of heat exhaustion in ourselves, it's important that we recognize them in our friends and family around us. And as we near record-breaking temperatures, seniors stand at risk of heat exhaustion or even death in their own homes.
things can change really quickly in this kind of heat.
Especially for seniors.
A lot of times they don't sense heat as dramatically as somebody younger, but they can get heat stroke or heat exhaustion just like anybody else.
105 degrees is a little much for even us.
As temperatures rise, the risk for heat exhaustion or stroke increases dramatically for our senior citizens. It's up to family, friends, and even neighbors to make sure they're safe by checking in every day.
If you call and they don't answer the phone, that probably means an in-person check may be called for.
But if you're a senior and your family is out of town this holiday weekend, don't be afraid to reach out. It could save your life.
If you're a little concerned about the heat, why not, if you're a little bit older, call your neighbor and say, hey, do you mind just checking in on me before you turn in tonight? Just make sure I'm okay.
For those seniors that like to stay active, in this heat, you might need to explore other options.
Go to the mall. Go to the gym, pay for a day pass at the gym, or spend some time at the movie theater. Those are all really good, cool places that you can stay for a number of hours during the heat of the day.
Even if you're simply relaxing outside, chatting with a friend.
We are cool-natured, I guess.
Remember to hydrate and to cool off in an air-conditioned room. And after about 93 degrees, a simple fan won't do much to cool down your room. Air conditioner is what you really need. And because of that, CASA of Madison County has been installing air conditioned units in the homes of seniors that are homebound, but it's all donation based. So if you want to donate to help out or know a senior that can't afford one and is in need, you can go ahead and contact CASA. In Huntsville, Daniela Parolon, WHNT News 19.
The extreme heat will continue through the weekend and on into next week. Unfortunately, there is no real relief in sight. Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson joining us now. And Jason, what is the latest outlook?
Jerry, it's not very good. Temperatures today were in the 105 to 110 range around a large part of the Tennessee Valley. Here's some of the unofficial observations. These are not airport numbers. These are numbers that came in through Facebook and Twitter. 109 Elora, Tennessee. It's 105 Florence. That was the high today. 108 there close to Clements High School. 104 at East Limestone. 106 Arab. 103 Moulton. 100 in Albertville and Fort Payne, and 102 in Scottsboro. So we've cooled down a lot since then. It's in the upper 70s and low 80s. Cortland still is sitting at 90 degrees. So is Chattanooga, Tennessee. Tomorrow's forecast, 107 in Huntsville. That will shatter the record of 102 set back in 1914, and it's also one off of the all-time June high in Huntsville, which is 108. Huntsville's all-time for any month, any day of the year record there is 111, so we may not quite get to that. Muscle Shoals forecast high 109, and the record 103 will easily break that one. Down the road into Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, a few scattered thunderstorms may help reduce the heat some, but there's no really wet weather and there is no really cool weather in sight. We'll tell you all about the continued heat in the 7-day forecast coming up in just a few moments. Temperatures fall. Problem is, even in the Shoals, we're looking at mid to upper 90s early to mid next week instead of temperatures falling back to near normal. So the heat not ending, it's just easing up a touch. 76, the low tonight. Huntsville's high tomorrow, 107, I think easily. 108, 109 in the Shoals. 106 on Sunday. Then we back it down some. We'll call it easing off instead of cooling down because make no mistake about it, 96, 97 degrees, that's still hot by any standard in Alabama.
Yeah. All right. Jason, thank you.
You're welcome.
Some people tried to fry an egg on the asphalt today. We make cookies in a car. This is a time lapse of sugar cookies and white chocolate chip macadamia nut cookies, baking on the dashboard of a news rig. Now, we don't recommend that you try this, at least don't eat them. We put them in at 1:55 p.m. and took them out at 6:30. Don't know if you can hear us, but we have just lost power, but stay with us. I'm going to keep on reading. We broke one off to confirm that they cooked all the way through, but then we ended up eating popsicles instead.
Well, leap year adds a day to the calendar, and tomorrow we get an extra tick on the old clock. The international timekeepers are adding 1 second to Saturday, and experts say it shouldn't affect your computer or phone or anything else. Timekeepers had a meeting earlier this year to talk about getting rid of leap seconds. They haven't made a decision yet because they say They need more time to think about it.
By the way, if you
Guys, I don't know what's going on, but, you know.
I really like hot weather, so,
We just thought we'd bring
we'd
you out.
hang out outside. And
You know, leave your jacket on. I thought I'd take mine off.
Well, we didn't have a lot of time to change, but trust me, in about 30 seconds, I'm coming out of this jacket. Of course, we're going to continue to check with Bill Yell over at Huntsville Utilities, find out exactly what's going on. Don't know how big the power outage is, but we're assuming it's, from what we can see, it's pretty much all of downtown Huntsville. Of course, we'll post that on Facebook and post it on Twitter for you as well. And, of course, the David Letterman coming up show, the Late Show with David Letterman, coming up in just a minute. Thanks for joining us for this unusual ending to WHNT News 19 at 10. Have a great weekend. Stay cool. Good night.
Thank you for joining us for this Saturday edition of WHNT News 19 this morning. I'm David Coombrock. It's Saturday, June 30th, 2012. Jennifer Watson is sick today, but Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson joins us in studio this morning with a look at the weather. And Jason, I have this terrible feeling I already know what you're going to say.
I think everyone knows what's coming. If you liked yesterday, you'll love today. And on the other hand, if you hated yesterday, you're not going to like today a lot whatsoever. Here's what the day's looking like as we start out on the Saturn V rocket cam. The big bright sunshine already high in the sky over Montesano Mountain off to the east of the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Current temperature 74. We didn't get too cool overnight, so if you don't have good air conditioning, we've already got a pretty high base to start out with the heat for today. Around the valley, it's 74 here in Huntsville, 72 in Muscle Shoals. Russellville at least down to 69. Fort Payne at 68, and Winchester and Fayetteville are sitting in the low 70s. Air quality an issue again today. It's unhealthy for sensitive groups due to high concentrations of ground level ozone in the pink counties in North Alabama. An excessive heat warning through 7:30 this evening. We're actually expecting some of the hottest weather since the 1930s. A high today of 107 in Huntsville, 109 in Muscle Shoals. More on the full forecast coming up in just a few moments.
You can't afford a new system, please contact CASA if you can help out at 256-533-7775. Many people are flocking to the water to beat the heat, but get this, despite being surrounded by water, your risk for dehydration could actually be higher on the water than on dry land. WHNT News 19's Daniela Perlon joins us now live from Huntsville with more on staying safe on the water this holiday weekend. Daniela?
Carson, yeah, even if you're planning on cooling off in Lake Gunnersville or the Tennessee River this weekend, you need to know this heat can be even more brutal when you're out on the water.
There'll be a lot of boaters out here today.
As the sun beats down on the water, you're being hit with heat from all angles. Your body will try to cool down and could ultimately lead to dehydration if you aren't drinking enough water.
Everybody needs to make sure and take some time and stay in the shade for a little while. Take periodic breaks and be sure and stay hydrated.
And when you're celebrating out on a boat, you might want to grab a beer. While it may seem to quench your thirst in the short term, it can ultimately lead to severe dehydration. And if you're drinking, make sure you have a designated driver on board.
My hope is that everybody will come out and enjoy the waterway and be safe while they're out here.
On Memorial Day weekend alone, Alabama Marine Police made 13 arrests for boating under the influence. 6 alone were on Lake Gunnersville. And another factor that makes popular boating weekends so dangerous is that out on the water there are no lines or lanes. So you really have to be aware of the other boaters around you. So make sure to maintain a safe distance to avoid a collision. And again, if you plan on drinking with your friends and family, make sure you do have a designated driver. In Huntsville, Daniela Perlon, WHNT News 19.
Shifting gears, Brandon joining us once again, and luckily we're not having to deal with fires, but it is pretty dry.
Yeah, it has been less humid than normal for this time of year for North Alabama, Southern Tennessee, and that may have helped with our comfort level a little bit, but it's really not helping with the crops and of course the heat feedback cycle as well. So the heat's sticking around for a while. An excessive heat warning, record-breaking heat today. That runs until 7 p.m. this evening, and also again tomorrow, as we expect another day of 105 around that neighborhood across the entire Tennessee Valley. This was our record high setting day for Huntsville International. The old record was set back in 1914, so a couple of long-standing records have fallen today here and also in Muscle Shoals, who hit 107. The previous record was also 102, also set back in 1914. So a significant heat day across the valley, to say the least. By 10 a.m. this morning, we were already sitting at 94 degrees. Lunchtime, 101, and of course, getting all the way up to 105 here in Huntsville. Still 104 at almost 5:15 in the evening. The dew point 60, so it could be higher as far as that humidity value is concerned. Still a little bit sticky out there. A northwest wind of 6 miles per hour. As winds are gusting to 17 miles per hour in the Shoals. 106 degrees as far as the temperatures are concerned, so that breeze may help out a little bit, but not a whole lot. 104 in Fort Payne, dew point of 54, and a west wind of 8 miles per hour. And everyone, at least on this map in the Tennessee Valley, in the triple-digit range. The only mid-90 I'm seeing is in the cool spot. Valley Head on the local reading is 96 degrees in eastern Alabama, but everyone else above 100 degrees. And when you factor in the moisture, what little moisture we have, it does feel a little bit warmer on those heat indices. This is what it feels like outside right now in Muscle Shoals. It feels like 110. So still a very warm evening, still an evening you need to take your heat precautions until the sun goes down. And it's going to be a slow cool down tonight. All across the southeast United States, really no cool air in sight. And here are the watches and warnings as far as the heat advisories go, and it's blanketing most of the eastern U.S. They have started to be dropped from the Central Plains to the west. However, it still remains in effect out east, and actually fueled a lot of thunderstorm activity yesterday into last night. A derecho, a widespread high wind event, moved through the mid-Atlantic states last night from the Great Lakes region for the past 12 to 24 hours, now moving off into the Atlantic, but millions without power to our northeast thanks to all this heat. You can see it's 97 in Oklahoma City, 100 in Kansas City. We are starting to see this high-pressure ridge start to contract a little bit, and as it does so over the next couple of days, the temperature trend is a slight improvement. Not much, but a slight one. Mid-90s for highs. Maybe a few isolated thunderstorms developing tomorrow afternoon. Isolated showers and thunderstorms will be in that 7-day forecast, but no major rain in sight. Tonight's going to be a clear and muggy night, mid-70s, 105 for forecasted high once again tomorrow. Isolated thunderstorms through the work week, just slightly cooler temperatures as we head into the next 7 days.
At least it's below 100.
Yeah, well, we'll take it.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Brandon. Well, it's time.
Alabama Marine Police are patrolling closely what they're looking for. In a community standing up for itself, fighting crime on the hyperlocal level. An arrest in Friday's Decatur shooting, who police say is responsible. Thank you for joining us for this Sunday edition of WHNT News 19 this morning. I'm David Coombrock. It's Sunday, July 1st. 2012. And Jennifer Watson joins us with a look at the weather. Jennifer, I have this terrible feeling that I know what's coming.
Well, yes, it's going to be, unfortunately, another record-breaking hot day. We're going to kick off the month of June on the hot side, excessively hot side for sure, but I do have positive news, actually, as we head throughout the next 7 days. A slow, which you could maybe say cooling trend, even though it's not going to be cool. We're still going to be hot, but at least temperatures will return to the 90s by Tuesday, but we're still going to see that triple-digit heat for today and likely for your Monday as well. Temperatures, though, this morning not feeling too bad, but definitely warm and muggy. It is 76 in Pulaski, 77 in Huntsville, 73 in Scottsboro, 80 degrees right now in Coleman, 74 degrees in Russellville. Taking a quick look here at our Athens State University camera, and it's a beautiful, mostly sunny sky. It's mainly going to stay that way as we head throughout the day. We still have excessive heat warnings in effect and also heat advisories for the Tennessee Valley. They're in effect from noon today until 7 p.m. this evening due to the fact that we're going to see temperatures ranging between 100 to 105, maybe 106 degrees with a heat index value ranging anywhere between about 105 to possibly 112 degrees. So everyone, again, just like yesterday and like they have been over the past couple of days, needs to take it easy outdoors. And I'll have more with the details on actually some possible rain chances coming up. Well, we ended the month of June setting several records across the state of Alabama and Tennessee, and it looks like we are going to kick off the month of July the same way, but we do have some positive news in the forecast temperature-wise and also rain-wise. I'll have all those details after the break next. Stay with us. elsewhere. Heat advisories. So the main story is it's still going to be excessively hot as we head throughout the day. Record high temperatures are again expected. Widespread triple digits. Unfortunately, though, the moisture is a little bit higher than it has been. So therefore, it's going to be a little bit more humid out there, raising those heat index values just a little bit. Now, this is the almanac for yesterday. Huntsville, we did set a new record high temperature for the day. We reached 105 degrees. Muscle Shoals, we did the exact same thing. We reached 107 degrees, which is 1 degree shy of the all-time record high temperature for Muscle Shoals. Now, I'm anticipating
Orange County saw some very active thunderstorms throughout the day today. Here are the numbers. It was another record-breaking afternoon heat-wise. 105 at Huntsville International. That broke our previous record set back in 1954, which was 102 degrees, and also a record high in Muscle Shoals. 106 is a new record. Previous record set way back in 1914. 102 degrees was the old record. And much of the eastern third of the United States under heat watches and warnings today. This is the past 24 hours worth of radar and satellite data. And all this heat with enough moisture generated a lot of thunderstorm activity, not only North Alabama and southern Tennessee, but around the entire southeast United States. And numerous wind reports, not only in the Tennessee Valley, but around our neighbors to the south and to the east throughout the afternoon. Hail as well. To our west, we're starting to see more activity. This high pressure ridge starting to break down just a little bit cooler temperatures starting to show up in the southern plains as it starts to lose some of its control. Now, as we head into the midweek time frame, this ridge starts to